What's up, guys? It's
Twin
Twin
Soul
Soul Poets.
Poets,
We are your go-to couple for love and relationship advice
dope spoken word poetry,
and
and uplifting
uplifting
content.
content.
Come hear about it. Today, we're going to share an interview we did for an amazing Twin Flame Union event that we did with host Lex Reader and two other Twin Flame couples. Like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Make sure you go check out Estefania and Justin's channel on YouTube and Twin Flames Unite channel. Both of these couples have such amazing energy. They were so
awesome.
fun to talk with and meet, and they have really amazing things to offer for guidance on this twin flame journey.
Totally, and it's great to get lots of different twin flame couple perspectives.
Of course, also make sure to check out our amazing host, Lex Reader, Lexx Reader on YouTube. Big thanks to her for facilitating this event and for bringing all these couples together. It was so cool to see the way that our experiences reflected each other and all the synchronicity flowing through the conversation. It was really, really fun.
So go support them all for sure, and please enjoy this video.
We're just so excited to be a part of this event. And I just want to say thank you, Lex, and everyone who's here today and the other twin flame couples. This is such a cool opportunity. It's like Twin Flames Unite. We see your stuff all the time. You guys are awesome.
Sorry to interrupt. We do have the third couple coming in. They just signed up a little later, so they're preparing, but they will be here soon as well.
Okay,
great. That's awesome. When Lex sent the invitation to us, we were super excited to be a part of an event like this. We knew right away that it was for us. And as twin flame couples know, your relationship tends to be surrounded by synchronicity. And as soon as we said yes, I looked and realized that the date was June 12th. And today happens to be Loving Day, which is perfect. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Hamilton's just gonna kind of explain what Loving Day is all about.
Yeah, so Loving Day is a national holiday that celebrates Richard and Mildred Loving, who are an interracial couple, white man, black woman from Virginia. We're both from Virginia, and they were arrested in the 50s for being married as an interracial couple. And they had this whole 9-year court battle that ended in a Supreme Court case, which they won, and that ended up ending the ban on interracial marriage across the country. It's a really amazing story because they were so humble, rural Virginia people that were not intending to get caught up in all this huge hoopla. But I love that it's such a powerful example of the power of love. Just loving someone is enough to create really powerful change. And I think it just feels so relevant to twin flames. But it's significant for us to be doing that today because we have an award-winning spoken word piece. Part of our twin flame mission is performing uplifting and inspiring spoken word for live audiences and through our YouTube. And we also do love coaching and helping people to manifest love in their twin flame, deep soulful relationship in their life. So we're gonna just to sort of introduce a bit of what we do. I'm just going to share this piece that talks about the lovings.
Beautiful. I feel like we should clap too.
Yeah. That was really powerful.
Yeah, get it, snap it, and clap.
Snap,
Snap and clap.
Snap, however you want to react. Thank you. And thank you to Richard and Mildred for allowing us to be together. We always are thinking of them today, every year. And, that's just a sample of one of the things that we felt like just kind of fell into place when we met.
Right. And I just wanted to say, we definitely invite you guys to share that poem today because it's Loving Day. Anything related to the lovings is being seen, and it's such a simple way to tell the story. And a lot of people are very touched through things like the arts, and it's just a way to tell a story where people aren't having to read it up, or they can just enjoy and watch and get this beautiful story out into the world. So we'll put the link in the chat if you'd like to share.
Yeah, and I love how you guys said the power of love. When you say that, I almost get chills. Just a combination of you guys together and the power of love. So I would love to segue into you guys talking about your twin flame journey a little bit and your story of how you came together. And achieved your union, staying together, and kind of going to that story. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you just want us to jump in and then you'll kind of interject some questions?
Yeah,
along
that
the way?
sounds perfect. Like you can start as far back as you want together, or
Okay, yeah, I'll start then. So, because when
okay.
we start at the beginning, it usually starts when we were both single, and I have a pretty cool experience that I had. So, I had just actually gotten out of a different relationship, and my heart was aching. You know, that feeling when you've had a loss, and I was so clear that I wanted to meet my person, that I wanted to be with the person I'd be with for the rest of my life. And at some point along the way, I learned about twin flames, and I was like, this is what I want. That's the kind of connection that I want. And so I had created that intention, even in the midst of this breakup and everything. And I'd gone to a spiritual center with my parents one day, and out behind there was this gorgeous garden. And so I walked along down this path in this garden on my own, kind of feeling all the feelings of the moment. And I was just prompted to just say out loud, hey, universe, God, like, I don't know if this person I was just, was the right person, or if they're on the way. But if you could please just give me a sign, I would really appreciate it, so I could just have some peace. And so after I said that out loud, I went and sat on this bench that I saw. And as soon as I sat down, something bit me. And so like I turned around to see what had bit me on my back. And
it was me.
When I turned around, I didn't see the bug, but I saw this plaque on the bench that said, I will send him to you. And I have a picture, maybe we can put that into, if you look on our Instagram, you can actually see the bench on one of our posts, but I just got the biggest chill of my life, and this peace that came over me. Like, what was clear to me in that moment is I don't have to look for him. Like, we will connect when the time is right. And so I didn't have that worry anymore. And I moved forward from that point, doing all the work that I was doing with, law of attraction and being in the vibration of it still, but without that anxiety of worrying if he was coming. So then fast forward to about 9 months later, and I'll let Hamilton jump in there.
And, from there, it just sort of spiraled. Our relationship has definitely felt like it's kind of had a life of its own, and sort of, like we mentioned, synchronicities and so many things happening to sort of push us into, the way we start performing together, and then the way we started coaching other couples and coaching single people trying to find love. Like, all of that just sort of like almost felt like it happened in spite of us, or like of its own accord, and we were just kind of running to catch up. But the piece about just making that intention and making the claim is so relevant, I think, because that's something that we talk about a lot when we're coaching singles who are trying to find that deep soulful love in their life, to be able to put it out there and then trust that it's that person that you're looking for. They're already there. They're already here on the planet somewhere. Right. And you don't have to like spend all this energy trying to make it happen, because it just will,
Yeah. And also like that, you have that intention to meet them, and not attaching that to a specific person, but just having your vision of love. And that's another big thing we talk about. And I see like twin flames unite nodding their heads. Like it's really about being in love with your vision of love, and trusting that whoever is going to embody that will come and meet you there.
Yeah. I love how clear you were on what you wanted. Like, I was watching some of your videos, and you're like, I was so clear with my intention.
I was so serious.
Yes.
I was like fun, but I was clear. I mean, I was like texting myself, pretending it was coming from my twin flame. And like, I like went to the extremes, but like it works, And then Hamilton mentioned synchronicities. So 2 years before we met, my family got a French bulldog. And we could not come up with a name. Like, we could not agree. We were like Fred, George, like we just couldn't. We knew we wanted it to be like a people name. And then we were sitting at dinner at one time, and it like shot down into my head, and I was like, how about Hamilton? And everyone for the first time was like, wow. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's perfect. And it was crazy because we had not agreed on a name until then. And then of course, when I met Hamilton the human, I was like, you're not going to believe what my family's French bulldog's name is, because I was living at home at the time, and that was just so many.
I was pretty weirded out when I was like leaving our first day. I was like, she got a dog named
Ever
Hamilton.
your dog.
And they're like best buds now.
Yeah, he wasn't so into
Not
me
at
at first.
first,
He was like, there's only room for one of us here, man. But now he likes me.
I know a lot of the audience are people that have their twin flame in mind, or they're wanting to call in their twin flame and they're not necessarily in the coupleship yet. Can you talk a little bit of like either advice to come into that or an obstacle that you guys overcame? I'd just love to know something about that that can kind of help people not in a coupleship yet to align with that, because you guys are very clear on what you wanted and then it manifested. So
as far as like, if you feel that you've met your twin flame, but you've not quite like come together.
Yeah, that would be a good example for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that most twin flames experience and talk about is like this sort of coming together, and then like the intensity of it might lead to one or the other person kind of running away, or that separation phase. And we kind of had that. We sort of had a forced separation at first, where like a few months after we met, we were both like, I was already planning to go off and teach English overseas in Thailand, and she was planning to leave Virginia and move down to Atlanta, Georgia, where we are now, to pursue acting. So like, we didn't know if we would ever see each other again, honestly.
But I think we talk about that was kind of part of what we felt like made it work, was that we didn't have that attachment to what it had to be. It was that unfolding that Hamilton mentioned earlier, that it was just happening of its own accord. We didn't put an expectation or demand that this person had to be this for me at this time. We just were really in the moment of what it was as it was going along. And then as it became clear, like, you know, we reconnected through Skype at the time, that we were, you know, going to have something bigger here. We did start to get clear on what it was that we wanted to create, you know, for our future as it moved along. But I think having that feeling early on of just enjoying this beautiful thing that was just happening in front of us and just amazing us without those demands or expectations was helpful.
And really making a point to like pursue our own dreams and our own like passions fully. Like I had always wanted to travel overseas, and like that time spent in Thailand for like a year was just an amazing time for me, and I just grew so much as a person individually during that time. And she was pursuing her dreams or her passion of like creating a career in acting and everything. So it was like, I think that's a really important piece too, that we haven't even really thought about that much, but and also the lack of expectations, just allowing us to really be ourselves without any care of like trying to hide anything or, you know, be insincere in any way.
Right. When I first met, like I had a vision board to manifest my twin flame, and he had come over very, like, you know, the first couple of weeks we met, and he's like, oh, that's really cool. What's that? And I was like, oh, it's what I'm using to manifest my twin flame. And I just told her that. Because my feeling was that like anyone who was going to be right for me wouldn't be scared or put off by that. They would think it was amazing. And he did. He was like, oh, wow, that's really cool. That's awesome. Not knowing that it was him. I was manifesting. And then cool things even off that vision board. Like I had a taco truck on there, for example. And like years later when we got married, we had a taco truck at our wedding. And I didn't think about it until Hamilton pointed it out. And then also on the vision board, I had a picture of Ingrid Bergman representing me, the actress Ingrid Bergman. And I had Walt Whitman, who's one of my favorite poets. And I had them together on the vision board in a picture. And Hamilton was like, you know, you put a poet on your vision board. Because when we met, I didn't do poetry yet. I wasn't doing spoken word poetry. I was only acting. So unbeknownst to me, I manifested this poet, not thinking the vision board was going to go that deep into my intentions. But, you know, that's why you should definitely be aware of what you're
be careful what you put on those things, man.
Yeah, just be clear. But I mean, it ended up obviously working out nicely.
That could definitely be a step for somebody, is just to really embrace the vision board and intentions. And one story that's very unique of you guys, just you didn't give up everything right away. You're like, I'm going to pursue what I'm meant to pursue right now and release expectation. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And a big key. So I have a question too, because you do coaching work, and part of this is that what's like a big obstacle you see a lot of people when they first come to you in that state, or something that they can overcome?
Believe it or not, I think it's people who don't know if they're actually ready for a relationship or not. Because some people will come to us saying, oh, I want to meet my twin flame, I want to manifest love. But when we start talking to them or we get messages on Instagram, some people realize that they actually aren't ready, that some of those patterns of being in friends with benefits or holding on to old, stuff, or just certain patterns they may be into, like, oh, I keep meeting the same guy over and over again. Oh, I always attract the same girls. Yeah. What's really going on is it's a protection mechanism, because when they go a little bit deeper, there's a realization that they're actually not quite ready. And that's fine. We have a whole video about embracing aloneness. I think that it's really important for people, and we had both done this. When we first met, Hamilton shared this beautiful quote with me by Hafiz about not releasing your loneliness, not surrendering your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deeply. Let it season you like no other divine ingredient can, right? Yeah. And that was like how we met. It's like, yeah, isn't being alone great? We're like, yeah, being alone's the best. When you can get into that state where you really are truly at peace with yourself, and aloneness isn't a bad word. That to me is a good indication that your readiness is there.
That's when that person appears in your life.
You're making space for them by embracing that. Absolutely. And so we had both done that truly. And actually another cool synchronicity, after he had shared that that quote with me on our first date at this cool wine bar, and cut to our wedding night. We had this amazing, beautiful wedding.
This is so weird.
We pull up to the hotel we're staying at that night, and Hamilton goes, oh my God, Ingrid, look at the license plate of the car in front of us. I'm like, what? I look up and the license plate says Hafiz, which is the poet of the
car that
of
was
the
just
quote.
parked
right
in front of the hotel.
And it was like 3:00 in the morning. We're like, what is going on? And it was just another wink, another
that
like
blew my mind. I was like, get out of here.
I mean, it was such a full circle moment. But yeah, that's what I would say. Like, ask yourself, and this is something we could definitely delve deeper into if you were to do a coaching session with us, is really seeing, like, where are you at? Where does that feel like for you? And then
sometimes we'll do exercises that dive into like some of those subconscious belief systems. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes, like, where we talked about not having expectations being a big benefit for our coming into union, but like, we are firm believers that your expectations sort of create your reality, and life is very often reflecting back to you whatever your beliefs and expectations are, almost like a mirror. So yes. Sometimes we'll start working with people by just sort of like laying out, like through either like free writing exercises or things like, what are these belief systems? What are you believing about women are, men are, relationships are hard. Even women are hard to trust. Men, mm-hmm. men twin flames are so hard to find. Twin flames are rare. Yeah, it's hard to have union. I feel like there's this very like prevalent belief that it's hard to connect with your twin flame. It's hard to sustain twin flame relationship, and it's like that whole bubble of energy is keeping that in place. Or men are always dishonest. It's hard to find. It's hard to find an honest person if what you're believing and putting out there is like, oh, these people are always dishonest. But especially in the realm of twin flames, though, I feel like even because this is what we're talking about here specifically, it's like, I feel like even more so there's a specialness put around it, and it's hard, and you have to go through all this stuff, and maybe considering releasing some of those ideas and saying, what do I want my twin flame journey to be? What could it look like? Like, what do more twin flames coming together in the world look like? Because I think that's going to be a really awesome shift for the world. And literally claiming your creative power to actively rewrite some of those things. There's no shame in finding out, oh, okay, like I've got some active like limiting beliefs going on in my mind. Okay, what can I do to rewrite those? And we'll sit there and literally do that with people. And then you have something that you can look at every day to be like, okay, this is what I'm claiming starting now. This is my new story. And life starts to respond. Life starts to reflect that for you.
Yeah, and I love what you guys said about the protective mechanism, and are people actually ready? You have we're going to talk about your offer a little bit more, but there is a link if people want to start looking at the offer. But we're going to talk about it after in a second. I hear this word self-love a lot, and love, and just aligning with love. I would love your perspective on this, because you have like your beliefs, you're very intentional, but I want to see, because you have a very unique perspective for love and how that plays into the twin flame connection. Because I feel there might be something stopping some of us with that perspective.
Man, I mean, to me, self-love is a constant journey, right? Like,
that's exactly what I was going to say.
There's,
yeah.
you know, we have not mastered that by any means, but I definitely feel that, like Ingrid said, that alone time that we both had, we kind of, before we met, we both went through sort of an individual, like, dark night of the soul, where it was like pretty
almost
intense.
At the same time, we realized after the fact, like, it's happening simultaneously.
Yeah.
Even before that, you'll find that with twin flame journeys a lot. When you look back, and you guys are nodding, twin flames unite, like, you'll find that, oh my gosh, we had all these synced up things even before we were connected, which is pretty amazing.
And I think those journeys through, you know, the depression, through the really hard times individually, allowed us to sort of like push through that stuff and come out of it in a place where we're like, okay, like, I'm okay, like, being with myself. And that's like not an easy journey to go through sometimes, but I think that served us really well in being okay enough, like, individually to have a lot to offer coming to the table, and also just getting really clear on, like, what are my needs emotionally, physically, spiritually. Because sometimes that's another obstacle that people haven't figured out. What do I need? You know, it can be, if you don't have that alone time, it can be hard to sort out, like, what your needs are in a relationship and what makes you happy on a day to day. And if you haven't clarified that within yourself, it's going to be really hard to communicate that to your partner. And then you start butting heads because you're like expecting them to just know it telepathically somehow, but it's like, how can they if you haven't figured that out for yourself? So,
but like, even I mean, I would just put this out there as a like disclaimer, not really, but you know, just to say, like, when you get into a twin flame relationship, there is no greater invitation to self-growth, self-love, self-exploration, self-forgiveness than a twin flame, because you're going to be reflected all the time. And what's going to most likely happen for a lot of twin flames at first is you're going to project, and you're going to say, why are you doing this? Why don't you do that? You always do this. You make me do. And that's when a lot of the separation happens for twin flames, right? And we still fall into the trap sometimes. But what happens over time is, like, you realize that that mirror is always an invitation to go within. So if you start doing that now while you're single, you'll be so far ahead of the game, so far ahead of the curve, to just start, like, exploring, okay, what are some of the, like, limits within myself? What are some of the places where I put my barriers up? Where are some of the places where I get defensive, where I put up walls, where I have blocks, where my heart isn't open? The more work you can do now on that while you're single, the better coming into twin flame. But just know that a twin flame relationship is constantly inviting you to explore those things.
Yeah, it really is like I like to say, it's like a hyperbolic chamber for, like, self-transformation, and just it feels like evolution. You know, we've both grown so much. Yeah. And it's incredibly humbling at times, where I just feel like I'm just falling flat on my face. Like, I don't know anything. I thought I was so sure about this, but I was totally wrong.
I just saw a question. We do coaching for both couples and single people. So yeah, we've worked with both. We've worked with couples, non-twin flame couples, people who want twin flames, people who just want to meet their soulmate. So everybody, we kind of cater. We have, like, a longer session that you can do over the course of 5 weeks if you really want to dive deeper. We have individual sessions based on, like, say you just want to work on something with your partner. We kind of have the whole.
Yeah, and we do have a special link, a discounted promotion just for attending this event. So I would definitely take advantage of this. The link is in the chat, and you can connect further with Twin Flame Thoughts at Hamilton.
And it's a really great opportunity, because it's about half off from our normal hourly rate. So.
Incredible. Yeah. And all of the speakers have been so incredible and gracious with all of that, and I'm so happy to have you guys involved. That's beautiful. And one thing that you said, and I don't want it to get missed, is that it's still evolving when you're together, that it's not completely done. Because I have seen that in the
never done.
Idiot. Like, I have to be perfect, like, you know, ascendant to be flame and
the twin flame union invites the ascension. It's like, it's not a you complete me situation, because we don't subscribe to that. You should be, you're whole and complete on yourself. Even if the other half of your soul, I don't care, you are complete. But there is something that when you come together that you can't quite have as separate. There is this beautiful thing that does happen from your energy, you know, combining in this kind of beautiful aurora borealis of love. I mean, there is something unique there, but just know that you're whole on your own. And when two whole people come together with the joint decision to create something beautiful, that's when you really get a lot. Like Hamilton and I literally sat down together when we had some trouble, like some troubling times and hard times that we had been through individually and as a couple. And we were like, okay, anytime we go through something hard, anytime we go through challenge, we are going to grow. And we literally like looked each other in the eyes and we were like, made a commitment to growth. And we suggest that couples do this. And it was so powerful for us because even when we go through our hard stuff, and we are not perfect. We argue, we have challenges just like every other couple. But that kind of plays in the back of my mind. I remember this commitment that we made and I can feel it at rooting us at all times. And it was just such a powerful and simple thing to do.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. And it really allows us to start thinking solution oriented. Anytime there is hard times coming up, you know, we both sort of get through the arguing phase pretty quickly and try to come together and think, okay, like how can we move through this in a positive way? And
remember, we're on each other's team.
And we would say too, as well as like the link that's in the chat for scheduling coaching, definitely subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Twin Soul Poets.
There's so much great stuff on there where we kind of dive into these topics more specifically, and
a lot of twin flame videos and different topics around that of being single, how to manifest it, how to navigate it once you're there.
What if somebody's not committing? What does it mean? Just all these questions that we get, some of the things I've seen people drop in the chats, a lot of those questions are answered there. And we're, you know, creating new content all the time based off of your questions. So we'll even look, if you have questions, put them in the chat and we might make a video off of one of those because we love kind of bouncing ideas off of the questions people ask us.
Yeah.
Beautiful. How did your spirits wanting me to ask you this? How did your friends and family, because you met like her parents right away, how did they react to like twin flame connection?
Like, first of all, it's been amazing. I mean, everyone's been so supportive, and even like there was one family member of Hamilton's who was honest with us and was like, I don't know what I think about you guys being together, because she wasn't used to interracial couples. And I was like, okay. And she was, and I kind of appreciated that she was straight up. I was like, you know, instead of just keeping it to herself and thinking
at least she said it.
And I was like, you know what? I was like, that's okay. I said, she's like, but maybe you'll change my mind. And I said, well, I'm not with Hamilton to change your mind, but if us being together does do that for you, that's beautiful. So like cut 2 months later, we did our spoken word poem that you guys just heard, The Lovings. And afterwards, she came up to me in tears. And she's like, you changed my mind. You guys are so beautiful. And I was just like, wow, you know, I think just like the story of the Lovings, just our willingness to love each other is what we really focus on. And like everybody else can either get with that or not. But I feel like it rings true. People know that we have this commitment, that we're really committed to growth together. Our families have seen all sides of us. They have seen us at our best and our worst. And they've been so supportive and loving along the way.
Overwhelmingly, the response that we get, even with people that we know and even just strangers, especially when we're performing, presenting together, it's like so overwhelmingly positive. And that's been one of the things that has kept us together. It's like there has been hard times where like, you know, inwardly my brain's like, I don't know if I could do this, you know, and every time I felt like that and had any thoughts of like running away, the universe, it just feels like, be like, wake up, man.
We'll get some like long message that like, you guys have inspired me. You've turned my beliefs about love around, and you know, it'll
like,
be like
something that's like really, really obvious, like sign. I'm like, okay, I get it. All right, fine.
It's that surrender. There's a lot of surrender in audience
to
dynamic. It's like
to interact.
It's like being on the log flume of life, as we love it. It's just like let it take you where it wants to go, and then commit to learning along.
Yeah, I wanted to interject a little bit. Some of the audience might not be able to relate to the family and friends being as happy about it, but then there's an opportunity for coaches to be that support. And I think that's really beautiful, because I know that some of the audience, from knowing them, they haven't had that experience with the friends and family, but I think your vibration is what caused it too, because you're like, I don't need to change your mind. I'm focusing on the love.
Correct. And that tends to change minds more than trying to change someone's mind. Just exemplify what you want them to know about you. If you're in a situation where you feel like your family isn't going to be accepting, then focus on the love with your twin flame and let that speak for itself. Because if it's true, and if you are both really committed to that mission, like, people aren't going to be able to do anything but see that and to feel that. And even if it's on a spiritual level, you know, sometimes people take time, sometimes people fall away or not, but having that twin flame as your touchstone to your grounding is like, he's my best friend. Like, we're best friends. And
Beautiful.
It's true.
So I want to talk a little bit more about your offer. So let's say they click on your link, they book with you. What can they expect to kind of go over in the first session, or just explain a little bit to them, because they don't know you fully, and I want them to. Well,
in the first session, we always start with like, what are your goals? What are your goals for love? Like, what if you envision yourself, you know, a year from now, 5 years from now, what does your love life look like? And if you could put no limits on it, you know, what feels the best to you? And we start there, and then we try to assist people in getting there. And we'll usually start early on, like we said, with doing some specific exercises that we've worked out, you know, over the years with groups of people and individuals to identify what's really pinpoint what some of those expectations and belief systems are in an effective way, like getting right into the subconscious. And then we can sort of, once we have that out on paper, you can start sort of circling the things that maybe this is something that might be in the way or might be serving as a block somehow. And what can we do to get rid of that? Let's rewrite that right now. And we usually start there.
And also, like, another amazing piece that usually happens in the first session that always amazes me is how we can just invite someone's own intuition to answer a lot of the questions that they have. Because a lot of times people come to us like, is this person my twin flame? Like, we will never tell you that. Just no, we will never, ever. Thank you. Twin flames unite. We don't do that. Some people do. And I'm not just, you know, people can have their own process, but our process is, this was so deeply personal to us. Like, nobody else could have told him whether he was my twin flame or not. Like, this is something that's such an internal knowing in spirit. That is for you. All we can do is guide you when you feel as though you found your twin flame, you feel as though you found your soulmate, that we can guide you on that journey of how it unfolds, having been there ourselves. And we always speak from our own truth, what we've actually experienced. But I think that's just really important to know. But I love those aha moments that someone comes to on their own, just through us, you know, being present with them, asking questions, inviting them to think of something in a different way. And then all of a sudden there's this light bulb moment. And so, like, you could definitely look forward to that in a session with us for sure.
And in our 5-week course,
sorry, go ahead. You wanted to
I was just going to say, there on our website, there is also like a 5-week course that, you know, each week has like a specific exercise that we're digging a little deeper. But
coaching and the coursework, I love that.
And so much of it is, like Ingrid is saying, it's an inner process. So much of this work of like preparing yourself and magnetizing in that twin flame union is really inner work. And that's sort of like the angle that we come at it, because that's what worked for us. And
it's more like a collaboration. Like, think if you work with us, we're collaborating with you. We're not, you know, telling you what to do. We're making a synergy of energy to help you make the best your relationship.
And even at the beautiful rate of 67, I saw it was like an hour session. So that's a lot of time to kind of practice and really get to
get a lot. We can get a lot of work in at that time, for sure.
Encourage the audience to take advantage of all 3 offers, but whoever you're feeling really called to, at least do one of the offers, because you're not going to see these again, like the rates outside the event. So awesome. Thank you so much. Is there anything you wanted to add before we move on to the next speaker group?
I'd love to take like one question, if that's okay. I mean, I don't know if that's okay. Like, if anyone has a burning question, could you, even if you already wrote it, you want to pop it in the chat right now?
Let's do the chat so that because sometimes the stories, you know, in events, the stories can get a bit long. So I'd love if someone has a question in the chat, and then we can see. Just give that a second.
All right,
there we go. Navigating arguments. So how to create positive direction and connection. sharing more about that. And that's something I was curious about too.
That's
like
a great question.
Going back to commitment and that kind of stuff. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think the key part of navigating arguments and tough times is being proactive about it. Like, don't wait until you're all flustered, angry in your feelings to try to like get to solutions. Like, I think it's a really good idea. It's something that served us well, is to come together when things are going well and sort of put down a list of like strategies, kind of action plans of like, these are things that help me cool off when I'm like really losing my temper. For me, it's like sometimes I just need to take a walk around the block, you know, or whatever that might be. And also then like other things of we've written out lists before of I feel loved when blank.
The love languages, basically.
Yeah.
Definitely explore love languages. I know we're almost out of time. I just wanted to add too that one of the things that's helped us is just being aware when words aren't necessary. So sometimes, like especially with twin flame dynamics, it's touch.
It's you just know it. So
it's just touch. Just give your partner a hug, because like especially for a lot of women, like we'll talk and explain and get the details of stuff, and like, and you know, not, it can be masculine, feminine, whatever, you know what I mean? It's not, that was just an example for me, because I know me and a lot of my friends, we could talk forever about stuff, my girlfriends, but sometimes it's just about being present with each other. And sometimes when that person seems like they're unreachable, or seems like they're in that moment where they don't really want anything from you, what they really need is your presence and your love. And sometimes in that moment, like I've just hugged him.
Yeah, and we've both been able to offer that
for each other. Exactly.
Like when you're in, if you can have a moment of clarity in some kind of argument and see that, okay, they're in their defense mode, like they're not hearing anything, can I just offer my presence and like offer an embrace? Like it's way that the defensive armor can just melt with that sometimes is like, it's really beautiful.
It's like magic. It really is. Sometimes you don't need words, especially as twin flames. We're telepathic anyway. Like we don't need to always talk about stuff. Like we already know. We can feel it. We can sense it. Sometimes it's just the presence, the beauty of being with each other, and just saying like, I've got your back. I'm here for you. Even if they just said something nasty or mean, it's like, of course you need to discuss about the way you want to be treated. That's important.
This is the last question. Sometimes it's just being present. Would that be presence with yourself if, say, you're at a distance while you're working through your stuff?
Both. I mean, we've had a twin flame connections from when he was in Thailand. I had visited him in Thailand actually, but when we were apart, we meditated at the same time and connected. So like, don't think that distance makes you not connected to your twin flame. You're always connected. So I would say that presence goes both ways. They're going to feel it, all your intentions and things you're sending. So if you're having a hard time or having resentments come up, you can just be honest with them, even energetically, and say, hey, I'm having these resentments come up, but I'm working through them. I know that our love is at the core of this. So it's both, I would say.
The links are definitely in the bio. Take advantage, everybody. And I wanted to extend my gratitude for you guys. And I hope you stay and get to see some of the beautiful
absolutely.
Yeah, we will.
Couples. Awesome. So our next couple is Estefania and Justin. They came just in time. That was my joke before to get them in. So I'm so grateful for them being here. I'm just going to reclaim host here. Okay, perfect. So we're going to go into your story, your twin flame story. And for people that just came in, it's about a half an hour time slot. And then we're going to move on to Twin Flames Unite for the last time slot. And we're going to hear a bit about your story and then advice, and and then go into the offer that you guys are extending to the audience as well. So would you like to share your twin flame stories?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Do you want to begin?
Yeah, sure, I'll begin. It started for me in 2016 at the end. I was not spiritual in any way. I knew nothing, absolutely nothing about spirituality, twin flames, any kind of soul connections, whatever you want to call them. And someone came into my place of business. Something happened. Heart chakra awakenings took place. And over the course of maybe, I don't know, like almost a year, it seemed like, I was experiencing a lot of insane moments, I guess, happening that I never thought possible. So as this was going on, I just kind of fell in love with this person out of nowhere. And I feel like if it wasn't this person that came in to kind of spark this awakening, I maybe would have fallen in love with just some kind of inanimate object if that was the case. But regardless, it took place, and it went out of control for me because I had no idea what's going on, and like most people in a similar position maybe have no idea what's going on, so they try to research everything and anything they can on the topic. And then fast forward a couple of years after that, a Kundalini awakening took place for me where I basically was in the hospital for it because I had no idea what was going on at that point. And the EMTs, the doctors, they had no idea what was going on, but then I realized eventually what it was, which after that took place, then I was looking on YouTube for a lot of information, which kind of helped me and hindered me in the process. But eventually I found Estefania, which was offering financial advice. I reached out to her, and that's how I kind of got a hold of her, and that's how I met her in a sense. And
financial advice? Hold on.
Yes, because I was going through a lot of financial hardship. I was going through losing my job. I was going through a portion where I was practically going to be homeless. So I was not really looking for financial information, but she happened to come up saying, hey, if you need help with financial information, she's the go-to person. So of course I reached out, and the next part is on her. So
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
So I just want to first off say, express my gratitude for being invited here and being in connection with this beautiful, like all of you, and in the presence of these two beautiful twin flame couples that, we've been seeing on the internet for a while, and we really admire you and appreciate you. When it comes to our journey, I think it's, I don't know, every journey is super unique. But in my case, I started off just like Justin, met this guy, it was a false twin flame. That's how we both started our journey and learned about twin flames. And I was in my ego. I was 100% obsessed with union and getting into union. And I was like, I've always been a spiritual person, but I kind of like had put a pin on what my opinion was going to be about God, because I grew up in a very religious environment. And I was like, I'm just not going to think about spirituality for a while and let it come to me when I need to know whatever I need to know. And then boom, suddenly twin flame journey. And I was like, okay, twin flame journey, you met your soul's counterpart and then you work together to raise the vibration of the planet. That sounds like something I should probably be a part of that group of
I'm signing up. Okay.
So that's when I started learning about it all in a very obsessive way. And I think I consumed so much information, that I managed to heal myself to a point where I thought I was working towards union with the false twin flame, and then suddenly, boom, Justin appears, and it's like, oh, I just met my true twin flame right now, so I'm just getting started on this. But all of this information that I was able to connect the dots and put together, I'm a triple Virgo. I have also Gemini in my chart and Capricorn, and I think all of those signs are very like analytical. So something I wanted to do was explore theories of what could help accelerate this, because I was like, I know I totally agree with not forcing things, letting things be what they need to be, because I wouldn't be here if I didn't, have that belief, that philosophy either. But I went through my healing in such a fast way to a point that I was like, so it's not impossible to accelerate your healing either. I think that we could reach a balance between letting go and also, being super intentional and clear about what we want. So, when I'm trying to put together like theories on what would be like the best way to manifest faster, because also, we're ascending to the 5D, and this is information I consumed during my spiritual life journey about how when we came to the fourth dimension, we would just have the ability to think about things like, oh, I want an apple, and then suddenly the apple would appear in our hands. So that always like stuck with me when I read that from a book a very long time ago. So when all this twin flame journey started happening, I'm like, what are the mechanics behind making the apple appear in your hand as when you want it. So, you know, relating that to the twin flame journey is like, what are the mechanics behind manifesting what you want as soon as possible, you know, in an ethical way, you know, not like from the ego, like forcing and all that craziness. But, you know, so thinking about how can we reach that balance and make that possible in an ethical way, spiritually ethical way, you know, that's how we came into our program, the Twin Flame Union Accelerator. But at the time that I met Justin,
that makes sense. Actually, accelerator, yeah.
yeah. So at the time that I met Justin, I was trying out a theory of like, I think that if we could help people, and I have a background in accounting and finances, if I could help people improve their finances first, that could like set a foundation for like, you know, being way much more relaxed to focus on your healing and focus on other aspects of life if you have your finances set.
I believe
But you,
yeah, that's how we have the freedom. It's the first base of freedom here. It's beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, that was like a first theory I wanted to try out. Now my thoughts on this are way much more complex because, you know, once you start healing and connecting with the authenticity of who you are, a lot of methods for you to want to create money or manifest, you know, that financial stability can totally change the more that you change. And so there it comes, you know, divine timing into play, and it just like changes the whole dynamic. Like you cannot control your life in that particular order either. So
I have a question for you. Do you find that things are like very complicated and then become simpler? Like the more you do them, like say finances was more complicated than simple, and then like your theory with the accelerator, it's like you've been able to simplify it through the complexity, like over that hump? Or do you find that it's still, there's a lot? I'm just curious about that, because I find things get simpler the more that you're like ascending through them.
Yeah, I don't know if simpler could be the perfect way to, the perfect word, but maybe like just you, the more you heal and you work on yourself, you naturally come into the perfect unique solutions for your journey. And yeah,
that's beautiful. I love that. Just because I'm thinking to the audience, I want them to know that they can achieve like twin flame union and being with their true twin flame. So that's why I was asking that. So talk to me. So you guys, you know, you found her through the finance. So it's kind of like a sneaky around way that the universe brought you together. I love that. Talk about how you knew or like thought, okay, you kind of had the resonance. This is my twin flame. But what about you, Justin? I want to know kind of how that dynamic came together.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of synchronicities for me. I mean, throughout the entire journey in relation to so many different things. But I noticed a lot when I was trying to get a hold of her, because prior to her, there was somebody that I was trying to get a hold of. That person happened to think that I was somebody else this entire time. And they didn't want to believe that I was the person claiming that I was, you know, I was saying that I was, but they kept confusing me for somebody else who was apparently some kind of karmic type individual in their life and their journey. So they thought I was that person when I wasn't. Okay. Same thing happened with her. She thought I was somebody else, in a sense where I'm trying to tell her like, hey, I'm this person from California. I have no knowledge of who you are other than what I've seen on YouTube. You know, I'm trying to get a hold of you for assistance. She didn't want to believe it. She kept thinking, I'm this other person. I'm this other person. I even sent her pictures of my ID to prove who I was. Okay. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting emails from her, you know, I see the email sent time was at 11:11. There was a lot of 919s going on, and 919 was pretty significant, you know, for her, for myself. 717 was a big number for me as well. And after finally proving to her I was who I said I was by talking to her on the phone, there was a point in time, once again, with the heart chakra just going out of control. And it was like an explosive feeling inside my chest. I felt a lot of electricity just coursing through my entire body, to the point where I'm sorry about the shaking there, to the point where I couldn't even.
So much heart chakra.
Yeah, you know, it's all relevant there. But yeah, I just couldn't talk on the phone anymore. I had to lay down. I had to sit down. I had to tell her I had to hang up the phone, because something was going on inside of me that felt not natural to me. But I did feel a lot of stuff, and just my head it felt like it was exploding in a sense. Wow. So it was very intense for me, and a lot of a lot of the physical aspects that I was feeling during that time was just kind of off the charts.
That's really interesting about the physical. So we were just talking about touch and all that, and I love that. Okay, so talk to me a little bit more. As you had this resonance, you both had a really incredible knowing, like this is something out of this world almost, it sounds like. Talk a little bit more about coming together and how. I would love to know that part of your story.
Yeah, I'll start that off because, like I said, I was on the verge of being homeless. I had just lost my job. After she and I got to know each other for a little bit, and after the realization came to me that, you know, I understood that we were in fact meant to be together, she basically paid for me. She was living in Puerto Rico at the time. I was still in California. She paid for my ticket to move to Puerto Rico because at that point, if I didn't go to Puerto Rico, I would have been, like I said, on the streets. We arranged it. She bought me a ticket. I flew to Puerto Rico, and that's basically how it all started. And that's when I finally came together, met her in person for the first time at the airport. And it's, you know.
What was that like for you? I want to know, like, seeing her there.
That was crazy.
For me, it was a little intense, but, you know,
sorry,
I'll let her explain.
I just want to clarify some things. At first, that when we were meeting each other, I didn't believe he was Justin because I thought it was the false twin flame trying to contact me from a fake email. Because at this point, I thought the false twin flame was my true twin flame. So when Justin tries to book a call with me, I thought like, wow, my twin flame is ready to talk with me. Finally, we're coming to union, and he's gonna reveal his feelings for me and all of that. And then suddenly, as we kept on talking, I started talking to this false twin flame in Spanish because that's my main language. And I was like, you know, let's cut the crap here. Let's just talk in Spanish. Come on, I know who you are. Like, stop hiding behind this fake email. And Justin's like, I'm sorry, like I'm a real person, and you know, trying to explain to me that he was Justin, and I wouldn't believe it. Even with him sending me his IDs, all of his information, I was like, no, he's photoshopping this. This is my twin flame. So it's very crazy because I didn't know him, but I knew that he was my twin flame deep down. It's super weird.
You must have had that resonance. Like there must have been a reason you were thinking that, because that doesn't make logical sense, but it makes sense spiritually for sure. Yeah,
exactly. And so, you know, from then on, when we talked on the phone, that's when I really knew that he was actually Justin. And that was immediate. Like in the first few minutes of us talking on the phone, we were like, could we be true twin flames? And that's where it started. And then I just want to clarify that, you know, when it comes to twin flames mirroring each other, at the point that I was doing this, trying to offer this help of financial, you know, I was just a little behind Justin when it came to our finances. Our finances completely like crashing because twin flames mirror each other. So I was like trying to discover this, you know, theory with the finances and trying to help people so that I could also help myself, because I was about to crash as well, and I was about to lose my apartment too. So that's, you know, when it's very crazy, because the day that I was able to pay for Justin's ticket to come to Puerto Rico, that was actually like miracle money that we received. I received into my bank account out of nowhere. And then when Justin and I talked about that day, we both told each other that the night before I received that money, we were both praying at the same time for a miracle and, you know, for help, because, you know, at that moment we were like, and it was very powerful. You know, the next day suddenly I have this money out of nowhere in my account, and I was like, okay, do I use it for rent, or do I use it to bring my twin flame into Puerto Rico, and so we can both get jobs and then we can pay the rent? And so I had to like make that decision, and I just decided to go with, you know, we both, like, it was just like my heart. I was like,
good decision. Yay.
Forget the rent. I'm gonna trust in the universe. I'm gonna bring my twin flame with me, and we'll figure it out.
I love the word trust. I feel like when I look at you guys, I hear the word trust. Like there's something like, and it's funny because you started off not trusting, and then now you trust so much. So do you want to talk a little bit about trust for coming into union, or just trusting the universe? Like even for you going to Puerto Rico, that must have been a little bit interesting, and like, I'm trusting this person.
Yeah, well, you know,
Yeah.
I know very little Spanish. I took maybe a year of Spanish in school when I was in junior high, but not enough to really get by in a country, or like an area, an island that's majority speak Spanish, even though there's a lot of English speakers in Puerto Rico. But I was able to accommodate to everybody. Everybody actually accommodated to me because I was able to get a job out there. I trusted the process, just like I trust the process in this whole journey. It's allowed me to, just kind of grow in that sense, because I know early on, before this whole process, I was not much of a trusting individual. For me, it was always something that, I had to see things to believe it, instead of just trusting everything just at kind of first glance. So
yeah. And when it comes to me and trusting the universe, I think it's something I've always been doing my whole life. I had a very crazy childhood, and I had a lot of care. I mean, I consider myself blessed within it all, but it was toxic and a blessing at the same time. So I had to go through a lot of like homes, between my mom and my grandmother and another family that took care of me. So I always felt like I needed to rely on myself to get through life, more than any caretaker. And I think that forced me to develop a trust in my own self, that I could take care of myself, and that involved the universe. And thanks to my grandmother that raised me with a lot of different contrasting types of religious beliefs, I was able to like expand my mind and be open to different types of religions and beliefs, and put it all together into what the only religion I truly believe is in love, and just trust in the universe. And it's something that you have to practice, just letting go and trusting in the universe that it has got your back all the time.
Yes, I love that. Okay, before we segue into the next question, I just wanted to encourage the audience to please put your cameras on. It shows you're committed to the journey and to us showing up here for you. I'd love to see your faces, to see how this is resonating with you and where to move the conversation. So thank you for that. And hopefully some people will pop on. Okay, so one question I really loved, I want to talk about love with you guys a little more too, but this idea of obstacles when people first come to you and what you see, because you have like this accelerator program. So there's obviously something that you're like, we can move through this quickly. But for the individuals here, like, do you want to talk a little bit about maybe one thing or two things, maybe not allowing the love in? I don't know what you guys want to say it is, but that could block union, or letting that, like, I don't know, the union happen, because you guys came together so quickly there. So
yeah, and I think it has to do a lot with coming to terms like with yourself, and being okay with being alone. And if you are going to have these expectations, which sometimes you shouldn't have going in to the beginning of this kind of situation, communicate, or this connection, it's very difficult to have a lot of expectations and agendas or things like that, because if you go in thinking you're gonna have one, this is gonna go one way and it doesn't, it's gonna be very upsetting to you. So for me, at least personally, I took it as, I'm not gonna go in with any expectations, any agendas, because it's only gonna hinder me if those expectations or agendas are not met. So going in kind of just, not with anything, just hoping that everything's gonna, like I said, trust the universe. So if I go in expecting nothing, and then all of a sudden everything that I want is kind of happening on its own, I mean, that's a great thing for me. So, but I'm sure she might have a different take, or she might have a different way of explaining it. So I would love to hear it.
That's beautiful. Yeah, the flow. I like that.
Yeah, I have a special tip here that I thought, based on your question earlier of what keeps us in union, but also what Justin said is super true. I think that something very important to accelerate, you really accelerate by letting go. That's the paradox. It's, I think that what is important is for you to like anchor your heart with what you want. Like, if you align yourself with your true desires, and that's when my next tip is gonna come in. If you can align yourself very closely, anchor your heart with your heart, if that makes sense, and just like be very clear on what are your heart desires, then that's your north, that's your north. And then it's about everything else, just leave it open to however it needs to come about. And just you know this is the crazy part, and also a paradox, because part of self-accepting yourself and going with the flow, is accepting yourself, even when you accepting yourself even with your expectations, if that makes sense. It's like opposite stuff, but it's like if you have expectations, accept that too, for a moment if you have to. And it's just a way of like releasing, and at least this has been a method for us to heal as well. It's just like it's like accepting your shadow. When people talk about integrating the shadow, it's like let yourself be whoever you really are, like the good, the bad, the ugly, like whatever. And then when you release that and you let go of that, and you can see in your own face, like, oh my gosh, this is who I really am, and this is very, or this is wrong, or wrong, or this is like something I should change. But if you don't like let it out, you don't air out your shadow, you're not gonna see it for you to like transmute it and change it. So that's one thing. And the other thing is like radical self-honesty, and I think that's how you connect with your true essence. Like you need to be willing to get radically honest with yourself all the time. And yeah, this is what I wrote here for you guys, that the moment that you lose self-honesty, you lose touch with your feelings, with your intuition, with your heart, with your soul, and with yourself, which is and ends up manifesting in the outside, losing touch with your twin flame. So the more that you can the more that you can get in touch with that radical honesty, the more that boom boom boom, like everything starts aligning and coming into place, into full manifestation from the inside out.
Yes, I love the honesty. Clearing the doubt is what I call it sometimes when I work with clients. So I love that. And you guys are hitting on so many points, and I'm already seeing themes. Like we've only had 2 couples talk, but I'm seeing themes of like setting the intention and then letting pieces fall where they may. And like, it's so beautiful. So we do have your link in the chat, and we don't talk about it right now. I just want people to know, because they're probably like getting excited by your energy and all of these amazing tips you have. Is there anything you want to share with the audience before we go into the offer portion? That vote, because it's going so fast. I'm like, what the heck? Where'd the time go?
Yeah.
But yeah, is there anything you were like, I would love to share this today? Or I can ask another question, or we can ask the audience.
Let me get in touch with my heart.
She's more of a sharer than I am. Usually when it comes to anything like this, I'm more of an in-your-face, face-to-face, like real interaction with somebody right there in front of me. Whereas sometimes on this kind of video setting, or even on YouTube when we do our videos, I'm not the one who normally does it, because I'm just kind of the behind the scenes guy. I work easier that way for me, but she's more of the speaker person in this case, and I appreciate that a lot.
But your story was so important, like the heart chakra opening, which still seems so open, and then the Kundalini opening, I think, representing the masculine energy, having these accelerated awakenings is really, really important and beautiful. So thank you. But yeah, did you come up with anything you'd love to share?
Honestly, I think that it's funny, because it's really the understanding that you need to have. And I think here comes a message from the heart. The understanding that you need to have is it's of your heart all the time, because and it's normal, we cannot like forget about the brain is here for a reason, and it's part of us, is 50-50. But not only understand with your heart, we have to also understand with the heart. And that's when we understand with the heart, that's when things happen, that's when the healing happens, that's when the magic works and flows. So it's very important to understand with both, and never forget that, because every time I understand something with my mind, I always get the downloads first. Oh, okay, I understand this is what should happen, this is what I should do. And then when I get it with my heart, that's when I am able to actually apply that knowledge.
I see that. Yeah, you talked a little bit about you were raised very religious. And I have too, and I've seen that a lot with twin flames, and it can cause us to reject love and God and the universe. Have you found any shifts with that recently? The love and accepting this reality, I guess, like something like that.
Yeah, for me, I like I said, I never was spiritual. I was raised, Jewish up until some point in time after a bar mitzvah that I had. But I think later on in my adult life, early on in my adult life, I thought of myself as like an atheist in a sense, where I just didn't have a belief in anything. So then after this whole process, the beginning of this process for me took place, my whole outlook changed. And I mean, that's all part of that heart chakra awakening that happened to me. I noticed as soon as that happened, my whole belief changed about life itself and what I thought was reality versus what I can't, put into perspective and just not even think about it. But ever since the beginning, everything's changed. It's like almost a 180 for me, where I believe in so much more than I ever thought I could believe in prior to this whole process for me. So
well, I see so much joy with you guys. Like, put a heart around you and put the word joy. Like, now I'm seeing that. So trust, joy. It's beautiful. I can see it in your eyes. Yeah. Oh, look at it.
So what was your question? I'm sorry. Like, I think I missed the first part. Like, how do we connect with self-acceptance?
I was just talking about, like, he answered it very well, like that feeling of when we're raised religious, sometimes we can reject like the feeling of love or God or the universe. So I was curious, like, your perspective, but he shared very well. You can share too if you want, but
That's okay. No, that's good.
Good. Okay, so let's talk about your offer. And you're doing a beautiful discount as well for the people that are engaged and here. And I wanted you to talk a little bit. So you're going to do an hour session, and kind of, again, for the people that don't know you yet, what would that look like? We've hopped on Calendly, we have it booked. we're moving forward.
Yes. We currently have our it's just our only service, our Twin Flame Union Accelerator program, and you can connect with community, and like, it's a whole program to take you from like whatever you are in your journey to understanding everything you need to know to heal yourself, to whatever you want to go and whatever you want to manifest in this journey. But we are offering right now a call, a 1 hour session, where we're going to discuss union strategy for you. Based on our experience and what we share with you in the program, we're going to share with you what, based on your current situation right now, what are our recommendations, of what can you focus on with your healing and your inner work right now, to start manifesting what you want, for, from now to the next 6 months, what you could be focusing on. And something we want to say is that whoever gets on this call, we can discount this amount from the, our program, our big program, if you're interested in joining us in the big program. And if not, still, this call is like a full value of what we can offer you.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that. So this is basically an opportunity where they can work one-on-one with you in a session where you weren't really having that as an availability. You're really focused on this program, the accelerator program. So you'll definitely talk about that in this session, but this is an opportunity where they, at a very discounted rate, can get one-on-one with you guys. So I think that's really why they should click through and use this opportunity. I think it's a big opportunity with all 3 couples and you guys. It's amazing. I would love it. So yeah. I think that's really, really beautiful. Is there any last sentiments? Because we're going to move on to the 3rd speaker group already.
I'm really glad. I think that nothing happens by chance. I think that everyone in here can agree on that. I don't know. But I think that everyone that's here, is here for a reason, and you came here to connect with us, with all of us. All of us are meant to connect together today. Part of our journeys, our journeys of coming into ascension together. So I think this is super beautiful, and never, just don't take things for granted. And yeah.
I want to say thank you for having us, and thanks to everybody else for being here, and for allowing us, like she said at the beginning, for this opportunity, because
Yeah.
It's a really great thing to have everybody like this kind of come together and just speak on their, what we have to offer and what we kind of went through and things like that. We can all kind of share perspectives and kind of just create something just even better. So.
And that's why the offer is there, because this time goes by so fast and it's like, I want more. And that's the opportunity to get more with you guys. So awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So I wanted to ask the audience if you could type, if you're ready to accept this love into your life, to type an A, just to see who's here, who's still chatting with us. So type an A if you're ready to accept love into your life in a fuller way. Okay, and let's see. I'll just make them a host and maybe they'll pop up.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
Hi.
I just want to say before we start, you guys are so adorable and cute, and like I keep your nods and your smiles, and it's encouraging.
Oh, thank you so much. I am so nervous.
Yeah, we're super nervous.
I am so
You're
nervous.
nervous.
You gotta follow up behind
I know.
a poet and a financial advisor.
I am like super nervous. This is
But
ridiculous.
it's all good. It's all good.
So beautiful, honestly. Such a
Yeah.
good. Awesome. So you've seen the formatting. You've been here pretty much from the beginning. And again, this is going to be a half-an-hour talk. We're going to talk about your story, advice, your perspective, and then your beautiful offer, which is the most insane discount of them all. But again, we're going to enjoy this time, this last session, to really get what we need. If anyone hasn't heard their message yet, I'm hoping and praying and putting the intention that they will hear the message now that they need to hear.
Awesome.
Oh, and more pressure.
Not
Sorry,
no pressure.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's natural. It'll happen naturally. So
Well, actually, yeah, we came a little prepared because we figured that we may forget some stuff along the way. So we do have a whole thing put together. So
because I already forgot everything. So
I love your shirts too.
oh, thank you. These are our originals. Like before we even
first Twin Flame shirts that we put together. It's on our website and stuff like that. But yeah, that was the first one. Yeah. So we had to represent. Mm-hmm. All right.
First, we gotta say thank you.
Oh.
You gotta
forgive us. Oh yeah, thank you so much. This is an awesome opportunity. Yes. We really enjoyed hearing everybody's story. Yes. And Hamilton, brother, your poetry on that YouTube channel is fire. Fire. So if anybody is not aware of that channel, definitely tune in. Yes. All right, boom. So let's get into it. Twin Flames Unite. All right. And actually our logo is pretty significant as well. I just want to point that out real quick because I'm a Pisces, Leisha's a Libra, and when you actually flip it around with our moon signs, I'm a Libra and she's a Pisces. Yeah. So it works together. It's cool. And then he's 3-2 and I'm 2-3. So we really like flip for the birthday and everything. So yeah. Yeah. All right.
Son's birthday today, right?
Huh?
It's your son's birthday today, right?
Yes, that too. See, I knew I was gonna forget something. Today is my son's birthday. He's 16 today. And usually on Zion's birthday, something really big always happens every year since he was born. Mm-hmm. Something elaborate always happens every year. So and here we go. So it's perfect timing. Yeah.
All right. And so just to give a quick overview of what we plan on giving out today is that, yes, we are going to talk about who we are, how we got into union, what are our strengths and weaknesses, and how we use our yin and yang to maintain a harmonious balance. Mm-hmm. Our one main point as far as advice for union, and then how we help others. Yeah. All right. Awesome. So just to start out, this was us back in 2018. We're just playing this little clip of this.
Yeah, look at us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Leisha, and this is Chris. My name is Chris. And we're twin flames. And we are very much in love. Right, Chris? It's different. You didn't even sound convincing. It's all
Oh,
good,
boy.
child.
But yeah, so we started out our YouTube channel in 2018. Started offering card readings and consultation service in 2019, all while continuing our own spiritual journey.
Right. And initially we didn't really start out to do coaching or anything like that. It was just a really push to share what we had. I got it especially, like I just felt this nudge to share, because what we have was just, it was just so much. It was like having a cup and just water just spilling everywhere, flowing everywhere. And it was so intense. It was just so much love. And I just wanted other people to experience what we had. So I'm like, baby, we got to do something. Like we got to make a channel. We got to do something. And he's introverted, believe it or not. I'm the extrovert.
I've switched.
And now we kind of switched around. So he took some time. He's like, you know what, we'll do it next Friday. We'll do it next Friday. He kept putting it off and putting it off. And one day I'm like, baby, we can't put it off anymore. It's a calling. Like I feel like it's something that we have to do, and we need to share our journey. Yeah. And he finally said, okay, we'll do it. And so that was a video that you guys just looked at. See, he really didn't want to do it. Yeah.
Love it. And you can see that with the numbers in your logo, like that's switching back and forth. I love that so much. Okay, do you have more to go? I'll let you kind of do that. So I think you got a plan going on.
All right. Now, who were we before we met? Yeah. So myself included, you can see I didn't have locks back then. Yeah. I had, before I met Leisha, I had ended up having a divorce after a 10-year marriage. After that 10-year marriage was over, I was single for almost about 2 years, working at a bank with one child. All right. So that was pretty much my story. And I was at that time, I was slowly making my way out of the church. But pretty soon, by the time I got with Leisha, I was pretty much out the door on that. So that was a whole nother awakening that really happened. But
and then you had your dark night of the soul.
And right before we got together, probably I want to say about 6 or 7 months before we actually got together, I had my dark night of the soul.
Me too.
And subsequently, after we got together, looking back at things, we actually had you had your dark night of the soul before me.
A little before.
Yeah, and then it triggered me.
And so for me, 4 is a very significant number in my life, also 3. So I ended a 4-year marriage, like you see here. And that marriage taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about self-love. That's how I transmuted that energy of that relationship, is just knowing that it taught me how to love myself, right? Yeah. So I was single, like you see, for 4 years. I had, right now I have 4 children total, not having any more, that's it.
Yep.
Now, while I was, in and out of the relationships, I was also working on myself, like, in the matrix, so to speak. So I got a degree in business management. I also got a certification in medical assistant. I studied a lot of stuff, and I couldn't understand, why am I studying so many things? So later, I know why I had to do that much studying and research.
Yes. Now,
looks so different. I just want to point that out, like the energy, like in those photos.
They were both of those pictures were in 2017.
Yeah.
But actually, we're about to get into the short version of actually how we met.
Yeah.
But this is just a quick photo. We were already together at the time of this photo.
Yeah.
This was actually what we consider our honeymoon.
That was our honeymoon.
We were at the beach in Panama City.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so as far as how we met, how we came into union, do you want to tell it or you want me to tell it?
You tell, and then I'm going to tell.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep this as short and concise as possible. Because this is
kind of long.
Because we went in on our YouTube video.
Yeah.
But, okay. So, we actually met at the same job. And when we met, we actually sat counter across from each other. And it was funny because the way that they put us together, at the cubicles, we could see each other eye to eye. So every time I looked up, I'm looking at her right in her eyes.
It was so uncomfortable.
But at that time, I was still married. And so my wife at the time was just thinking that I'm out with everybody else. So I was like, man, okay, I ain't talking to nobody. I'm keeping my head down. And that was pretty much it. And so, long story short, Leisha, well, excuse me, at the time that we were working, we were still friends at work. She was probably the only person I talked to at work.
Yeah.
I even let her share my bowls so she can make her grits and stuff in the morning.
So now, and you gave me a spoon because I never bought a spoon.
And okay, so during that time, we were still friends and things of that nature. And there came a point to where she had lost her car and she needed a way to work. And I didn't know she actually lived kind of close to where I had lived. So the supervisor had recommended that since she had lost a car, that she reach out to one of the team members to see if they could help get her to work. And so she asked everybody else, and she asked me last. She already knew I was married. And
I didn't really.
But so I ended up asking my wife, like, okay, well, I have a coworker that needs to get to work. She doesn't have any other way to get to work, and she's actually on the way to work. And we're like, okay. And so for a while, we were actually picking her up in the morning and going to work with me.
Wow.
Yeah. And I guess at the time my wife could see, my ex-wife could see that there was some type of connection. So she was like, we ain't doing this no more.
Just stop picking me up. One morning I'm just there waiting.
Yeah.
No text message, nothing. And I'm just waiting. And I'm like, well, what the hell?
Yeah.
How am I supposed to get to work? And he just cut all communication.
Yeah. And so once again, I'm trying to make this as short as possible. So time went on. Leisha actually ended up getting a promotion in a different department.
Yeah.
And so for like a year, we didn't see each other.
Nope.
And during that year span, that's when I went through my divorce and got all of that finalized and things of that nature. And then once my divorce was finalized, I started living my life. I went out my cell phone dates. I went out to the pool hall by myself, went to the movies by myself. I was real content with being by myself.
Yes.
And Leisha was at the same time.
I got to that same place where I felt like, hey, it's like I know I had to do it. It was like an inside job because I've been through some relationships, and at some point in time I had to really start to look within. Like I had to stop playing the blame game. Like, obviously it's not everybody else's fault because
it's got to be something going on with me.
It's got to be something going on with me if I keep jumping like this. So I did the work. I took the time, and I actually applied for the position because of the uncomfortability, if that's the word, that I was experiencing sitting next to him. We would sit directly across from each other, and it was so strong and it was so overpowering. I'm like, what the hell is this? And one day I was actually sitting next to him, and I could feel all of his problems. Like he was very, like I said, he's introverted. He don't talk about his problems, right? So I was feeling his struggles in his marriage. Like I could literally feel it. And I'm telling my coworker, I'm like, oh my God, he's unhappy. I'm like, she's like, what? She's like, how do you know he's unhappy? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, did you talk to him? I'm like, no. She's like, Leisha, leave that man alone. And I'm like, listen, I don't know how, I can't give you the explanation, but I know he's going through stuff. He's very unhappy. He's even a little depressed. But he didn't show this on the outside. If you see him, you would think he's happily married, picket fence, dog, and everything.
And I had the picket fence and the dog.
And he had the picket fence and the dog. But I was just feeling, it was like a pulsation. I could not explain it. And so I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. This is some BS.
She actually blocked me from everything.
I blocked him. I blocked him off Instagram. I blocked him on Facebook. I blocked his phone number. I said, you know what? This is too much. I am not dealing with this. And because I didn't want to, it was just, I can't even explain the type of feeling that I was feeling. And I noticed that he moved. He moved from sitting next to me and went someplace else. And I'm like, you know what? Something's definitely not right here. So let me just go and apply for another position. And I did, and I got it, and I was excited. And I left. And at that point, I started seeing 9/11. Somebody said 9/19 was their number. 9/11 is my number.
Yeah.
So I started seeing it every single day for months. And it would be days that I would run from that number, like literally.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is weird. And so one day I didn't see it and I was excited. And my friend called me and she was like, Leisha, look, 9/11. I'm like, oh, hell. I thought I missed this day, but it just kept coming.
Running, you're like,
and then I realized it was like an awakening. It's kind of like an alarm clock that was going off.
Yeah.
And I finally moved over to my new job. I was there for about a year, but within that year span when I left, I guess you can call this our separation. It was, this is what we call our separation, even though we weren't together, but we were kind of like friends and something weird started happening. So I guess we both ran from it because we didn't really know what it was.
And actually, just to interject real quickly, prior to all of this, we didn't know what twin flames were.
No.
We had no idea what in the world twin flames were. It's something we found out later, but we're going to get to that in a second.
So after I left, I started working on myself. And this is the part with Hamilton and Ingrid, I can really co-sign on this is if you're going through some type of separation, you definitely want to utilize that time to get to know who you are. That's very important. It's very vital to getting to understand who you are as an individual, really taking that time to do some shadow work, to do some integration. And I think that's one of the reasons why our union is so successful.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
We're going to get to that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead.
We're going to get to that.
I'm jumping ahead.
But just real quick about how we actually got into union. At this point in life, after going through the divorce, Leisha's single.
Yeah.
And we're out just living our life. Because we were at the point like, well, if I'm gonna be single, I'm gonna be happy.
Yeah.
And so one night, one of my friends invited me to go out to a club with him. And I was like, okay. I mean, it's a college club. I'm in my 30s. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go have fun. And he was like, before we go to the club, I need to go to the mall to get some new shoes. I was like, you need some new shoes? Like, dude, are you a girl or something? But anyway, I was like, yeah, so let's go to the mall. Let's go get some shoes and then we'll go to the club. Well, when I went to the mall, guess who's sitting at a booth selling Christmas ornaments?
Oh, wow. My part-time Christmas job.
Yeah. So Leisha was there selling the Christmas ornaments. And I was like, you know what? I need to go over and talk to her. Because even though when we were at the job, I could feel that there was some type of connection, and she was the one that always came back to my mind, but I just never knew where she went. And so when I saw her, I actually got excited when I saw her. I was like, okay, let me go over here, let me talk to her and see what's going on. And so we ended up connecting. I was telling her I was just starting my journey as far as being a personal trainer and things of that nature. She was telling me about Bitcoin back then.
I was making loot.
Oh, were you guys Bitcoin rich then?
Yeah, I used to be making money from Bitcoin.
Millionaires over here.
Yeah, I was trying to teach him too.
Yeah, and since then, we pretty much stuck together. And to this one point where I was taking Leisha to the gym with me, and after the gym, she sent me a text message and she was talking about how she had a crush on me. I was like, oh wow. Like I was sitting there stuck for a moment. I'm pretty sure she was.
I was devastated. I was like, look what you did. Look what you did. And I was just feeling so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I responded to her and let her know that, yeah, strangely enough, I feel attracted to you as well. And it's funny because I put in the text message that it's not a sexual attraction that I have to you, but there's this real strong connection that I have with you. And so from that point on, we started dating, and to the point we got serious and things of that nature. And now here we are.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say real quick, Ingrid, that's so dope with the when you said that you saw that sign they will send him, because this is the same thing that happened to me. After I did all my work and stuff like that, this is before we started even going to the gym. I was staying in a hotel, I was having some difficult times, but I was, catching my headway, got the promotion, got a new car, things were floating really nice, got some crystals, learning about salt baths and, clearing my chakras. And I was really doing the work. I was watching Gaia every single day. Like I was not watching any TV. all documentaries, you know, about really learning meditation every single day, practicing astral travel, astral projecting. Like I was on it. And I had gotten to the point where I had truly, truly loved and appreciated myself. All of my experiences I was grateful for. I was looking at eyes through some different lenses. So I had this little place that I would go and talk, you know, to my higher self. I don't know how you guys refer to, you know, your higher awareness, but I was, it has 3 big trees lined up. And I would go there and this is where I would kind of like commune with my higher self. So this particular day now, I was feeling on the inside, like, you know what? I'm good with being by myself, but I think I'm at a place now where I'm actually healthy enough to take on a relationship if this is the case, right? So I took my purple amethyst, big, nice bubble amethyst, and I laid it in front of me. Don't judge me, okay? I also had a black and mild, okay? And I took my black and mild with my amethyst and I laid it in front of me. I had some incense. And I remember opening up to speaking to my higher self. And as I got in front of the tree, I just heard something saying, oh, so you still doing the black and mild? And I was like, just said, don't judge me. Okay. This is something I'm going to get rid of pretty soon. Okay. Which I did. I was like, just don't worry about that. Okay. What I'm here for is to really open up because I'm ready to receive, you know, my divine masculine, you know, whatever word you want to put on it. The whole place turned white, like I was in a cloud, and I was there. I mean, I'm not hallucinating. It just literally turned white, and I was no longer seeing the trees. And what I heard was, are you sure that you're ready? And I said, yes, I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready. And then, you know, the strong thought form was like, okay, we're going to send him, but you have to love him. And, you know, the ego came out a little bit and I was like, love him? What do you mean love him? Like, I'm a lovable person. What are you talking about?
You love me, yeah.
Yeah, he needs to love me. What do you mean I need to love him? But then, you know, I felt like, you know, this message was necessary. Maybe not in that time, but it would have been necessary in another space. Yeah. So I was like, of course, my name is Leisha. I know how to love. Like, I'm a Libra. This is what we do best. I know how to love. What do you mean? So I accepted it. And then, you know, the strong thought form was like, okay, we'll send him. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm ready and I'm waiting. And I'm like, yeah, you know, like I felt comfortable. I felt confident. I'm like, I did all this work. I'm excited. And I'm just going to wait. And so I did. And I went to New York for that Christmas before I came back. On my way back to Alabama, it was January the 1st. It was New Year's. I drove 15 hours nonstop. I probably stopped to get gas and that's it. That must have been suicide, but I did it anyhow. But I promise you guys, it was like every 10 minutes, every half an hour, every hour on the hour, I would see the number 3. It got so creepy that I woke my son up. I was like, knowledge, just stay up for a little bit and just help your mom, because I think I'm losing it. Because it was just 3, exit 333, dashboard 333, miles 333. It was just 3. Yeah. And I'm like, knowledge, are you seeing this number more than how, you know, if we were normal? He's like, yeah, mom.
Oh, I got chills. Yeah. Very, very intense.
Like, this don't look right. So I'm like, wow. For the 15 hours, all we saw was a synchronicity 3. And so I said, you know what? I'm just trying to get home. And I made it home. But when we came back to Alabama felt different. Yeah. It I don't know. I can't even explain it, but it felt like I literally drove into a different dimension. It just felt so.
Yeah. So like you're like in a spaceship.
Yeah, it just felt.
Yeah.
But then I was like, okay, whatever. I'm integrated back into Alabama. And on the 6th is when we actually went out, like on a gym date, if you want to call it. It wasn't a real date. It was just going to the gym. It was on the 6th. And then after we went to the gym, a few days after that, we went out on a first date. It was a beautiful day. It was such a perfect day. And it was a full moon and everything. And he told me before he sent me home, he said that before he drove me home on that first date, he said, it's something that I've been wanting to do all night. And I'm like, well, what is that? And then he said, I wanted to give you a kiss. Man, my spirit almost left my body. My spirit, I had to hold myself back. I was like, wow, you know, and then we kissed and it just, like fireworks, you know, it was just, and mind you, I've been in relationships before, but this is the first relationship from beginning, right? That's felt so kinetic, so powerful beyond anything, to the point where it made us want to know, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Okay, this is not a regular relationship.
Where the twin flame, even like researchers came in at that point. Like,
yes,
this
is when we started looking it up.
Yeah. Actually, no, we didn't look it up. We didn't look it up. Actually, what happened was, at that time we were watching Ralph real heavy. Shout out to Ralph Smart. If y'all know Infinite Waters, Diving Deep.
Oh, Ralph. Okay, now
that's our boy. Okay. That's who really put us on game.
Yeah, because I was in the car one day and I was scrolling through and I saw the video. Ralph was talking about finding your twin flame. I'm like, what the hell is a twin flame? So I clicked on the video and he kept going through all the different signs that you're in a twin flame relationship. I was like, hold up. We do this. We do that.
Yep.
Okay. Like, wow, okay. And so I showed Alicia the video. She was like, wow, okay, we that may be something here. But then we didn't act on that right away.
Right.
One of the things that actually kind of pushed things forward is that one day we were taking a midday nap and the kids were out at school. We were home alone, just doing us. And while we were taking the nap, during this nap, we had what we call a strong thought form. Whenever we get these messages, we can call it a strong thought form.
Yeah.
And it said that, because I was about to get up and I think make something to eat or whatever. And the strong thought form was like, no, you need to stay here. Your souls are sinking. I was like, excuse me?
Soul sinking.
Like, soul sinking, what the hell? And so I'm like, okay, I don't see anything wrong with this. Let me lay back down and I guess our souls are gonna sink. That's what I was saying in my head, right? But
like the computer not sinking. Right. Beautiful. So I just want to interject a little bit because we have 555 on the clock. So it's
wow. Change. Yeah.
Change it up a little bit. One thing that you said, and I've seen this with all three couples, you were like, first of all, as your spirit guide or your higher self, you're like, don't you worry about that. This is what I want. I've never heard that. That's amazing. But what I have kind of seen with all three couples is, if this is the case, that's what you said. I'm ready if this is the case, but I'm still good on my own. So that energy of just like whatever is going to fall into place will. I like that is my biggest finding from this, and I wanted to share that with everyone.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
But just to quick, because we got to finish, this is important part right here. We both had the same message in that nap. He had the same message like me, the soul sinking. And so we both decided to stay in the couch.
Yeah.
And when we got up, we felt a little weird and we didn't want to tell each other. And I definitely didn't want to tell him because it's a new union. So I don't want him to think I'm a little bit cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. So I didn't say anything, but he actually told me his experience. And I was like, wow. So then I was able to share with him. And it's from then on that we really knew that there was really something different about this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's so beautiful. I have this happen a lot with my twin at night. And he's like, why are we awake right now? Like, what is this energy? What's going on? Like, just download. But it was more downloads, not sinking. So I like the
soul sinking.
Yeah, somebody put in the chat, sinking or sinking. It was actually called soul sinking, and we actually looked it up.
We did.
We were like, hold up, this is actually a thing.
It's an Indian tradition, I think.
Yeah,
soul sinking.
It's something other than we Googled it, but it's that way of sinking.
Yeah, look it up and you see.
SYNCING. Yeah, so we looked it up and it's the actual thing. But
get Veronica to put your beautiful offer in the just in case someone's hopping off for the 6 o'clock.
Sure.
Not deadline, but end date. If they have something to do, I want them to have the opportunity to work with you guys.
Absolutely.
Can we chat a little bit about that offer right now?
our counseling has evolved over the years. It did start out mainly with helping people find their twin flame. But as we went through, we started to see the pattern of one of the main reasons why people don't come in union with their twin flame. And one of the things is that sometimes people forget that your twin flame is you. And so what we pretty much do is help people remember how great they are.
And who they are.
Yes, and who they are. And which actually kind of brings us into this, the one main tip that we would give somebody as far as an advice, as far as to connect with your twin flame, which is you have to know who you are. That is the main thing. And actually, I think I skipped ahead. Well, yeah, it's that. But the main thing is to know who you are. And the reason why do you want to know who you are is that so that you can fully love yourself unconditionally.
Yes.
Because when you love yourself unconditionally, you're accepting all of your good and all of your bad. And so that way you can actually step into your full power of who you are, because you are an infinite being with the full infinite power within you that is deep inside of you. It's not outside of you. You can't go outside and look for it in somebody else. You can't find it in a car, a house, or a dog, or anything of that nature. It's inside of you.
That's right.
So we help people go within, because one of the main things, especially when you're talking about twin flames, is that your twin flame, the reason why you need to know who you are is that because your twin flame is you, but they're looking for the true you, the true you. And so are you as well. Whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously, that's what you're really looking for. You're looking for your true self, because that was one of the things that actually helped us out in our, I guess, Dark Night of the Soul before we came together, is like, who are we really?
Right.
And once we found out who we were really, then we like, okay, I want somebody that's like me.
Right.
And
come together as a whole, like Hamilton and Ingrid has said. It's not two halves coming together. That's a big misconception.
Right.
It is two whole beings coming together and making something wonderful. Okay.
Right.
So that's pretty much what we do. We help to go into the unconscious or the subconscious mind.
Yes.
We help to find those limiting beliefs that's holding you back from manifestation. We bring it to the light, and we also help you to integrate that, right, so that you can live your greatest and highest version of yourself.
Yeah.
Ultimately, because if you're here and you're meant to be in a relationship with your twin flame, once you connect with your true self, once you get on your path, you will encounter everything that is meant for you on that path.
Yes.
So we help to get you back on your path, right? That's kind of what we do.
And then we marry science and spirituality back together, because that's the way that it was in the beginning. Because there is a reason why you attract what you attract.
Exactly.
Because we only attract what we are. We don't attract what we want. We attract what we are. And so once you realize who you are, you're like, hold up, I guess I don't like too much. I don't like this part of me. You look at yourself like, oh, if I get somebody like me that's a little bit of narcissistic, then I'm gonna attract a narcissistic type of person. So we really help in and go in and uninstall some old programs and reinstall new programs.
Right.
So it's a lot of NLP, psychology, and spirituality that we couple together to really get some major breakthroughs.
Yeah. And we do. We actually have some really good breakthroughs.
Yeah, we actually have some reviews that we wanted to share, if
that's okay, whenever that presents.
Sorry, what were you gonna say? I didn't hear that last part.
Oh, well, if we have a moment, we have a minute or two of reviews or referrals.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I just want to keep the conversation going, and then we can definitely put that in there about these sessions. So I love keeping things simple, and everything you shared is going to be so impactful, and everything you do in your sessions is impactful. But for, say, someone that's like a little shy or insecure to go into this big energy, like that big tree energy, which I love, you're going to get in a coaching session with them and see where they're at, meet them where they're at, and then kind of move through how to get that work started, right? Like, I just want to make sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
A couple people intimidated, and I'm like,
please don't feel that way. But yeah, because the way that it starts out, especially with the starter package, like what's offered in the one that we got, is that we first come in like, what's bugging you the most? And once we find out what's bugging you the most, then we do a little bit digging. We're like, well, why do you feel that way? How did this happen? What, like we get down to the root issues, because a lot of people ask the surface questions like, why should I be with this person or something like that, just for example. But then we'll go a little bit deeper. It's like, well, why wouldn't you want to be with you? Or something of that nature. I think I may have got that question switched around, but we go from answering the surface questions to dig a little bit deeper to see what's the reason why behind that question.
Yeah, you can definitely share some testimonies now. I just wanted to kind of bring those in. I could feel them being like,
yeah, they don't have to be shy. We have a judgment-free zone.
Completely
judgment-free.
Yes, it was 125 off of that offer. So
yes.
Incredible. Again, like if you guys don't take advantage, I don't know. It's just time 6:04 on the clock. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna share this
we're just gonna share this real quick.
Go ahead.
And that's it, yeah.
FYI, this is a completely judgment-free zone. I'm stumbling over my words. It's complete judgment-free.
Okay. Oh, how much you have helped me and like everyone. It's so obvious, like how everyone comments and your vibration, your wisdom, your love. Oh my gosh.
I've seen videos of explanations of how to do it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that what you guys posted, I was like, yeah.
It is very helpful, and it
is life-changing. I mean, I hope you appreciate how much.
Oh yeah.
This is an honor. It's definitely it's humbling. And it's definitely an honor to be able to be a part of everyone else's experience, share our journey, you know, the good and the bad, the ugly, and see the transition within others. So it's an honor. It's definitely an honor, and we're always humble.
Yeah, that last picture is she actually came in contact with her twin flame, but this one last one.
What you guys do as a unit, the energy that comes from that experience interacting with you is medicine. It's like a medicine.
Just a little bit of mascara, you know, just a little bit of makeup, you know,
just shine.
Spruce it up just a little bit.
Unapologetically, you shine. And if somebody say, why are you shining? Say, Twin Flame Unite told me to shine. Mind your business. You're the messenger. You're not necessarily the message. Sometimes we are the message. Don't get me wrong. Whitney Houston was a message. She lived her whole life was a message, right? But sometimes the messages come through us. They're not who we are. Sometimes we don't even live that life, but that comes through for someone else to help them to experience their life. So that's how you know right there, you special.
Yeah, a lot of these readings we do is a confirmation, but this one is more of a remembering, which is different.
Yeah,
this is just a reminder of your greatness. Don't ever forget your greatness. It is there. Tap into it, because when you really tap into that greatness, you're gonna see everything unfold in front of you.
We thank you so much for trusting us. Because that is a big deal to we don't take it lightly when someone trusts us and they really it's an honor. It's a complete honor, and it's a truly a humbling experience.
So that's ours, and yes, y'all can I can definitely go to the link there along.
Yeah, we do have to. I just want to respect the time of everybody and like the 2-hour session. So I am going to wrap up pretty quickly, but I just want the people in the audience to write, like if they're ready, like whether to sign up for coaching or to just accept in this love and these learnings. I just type an R if you're ready. I love seeing your reactions as we end here. Oh my gosh, so ready. I'm like, can I sign up?
You're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. So Is there anything you guys wanted to end with? I'm so appreciative to everybody coming and being a part of this.
We just want to say to love yourself. We want to end, where we begin. Love yourself unconditionally, and everything that is meant for you, for your greatest and highest good, you will eventually meet it. Once you start really, truly loving yourself. How do you love yourself, Chris and Alicia? I love myself by saying yes to myself. Every time you tell yourself no, when you really want to say yes, you are fragmenting yourself and you're moving further away from yourself, and you're moving away from your authenticity. So this is just what I want to leave everyone with, is to be authentic, be your true self. Say yes to yourself more often, and come home to self. Yourself misses you. Come home. And when you come home to yourself, you literally come home to your twin flame.
There you go.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Amazing. I just wanted to say thank you and just talk about a couple of the points I saw come up. Being super honest with yourself. Like you said, saying yes to yourself is beautiful self-love. And all the points we went over. So I hope you guys see your own patterns through each of the couples and the power of that. You guys have this success. You actually talked about this in one of your YouTube videos. Go for someone that has what you want and get advice from them in any area of your life. So I really hope that's the impact I made today with inviting in these couples. So thank each and every one of you and all the audience members, my co-hosts, and thank you so much, Veronica and Kea as well. All right, bye. See you guys.